Hello and welcome to Geology, a channel dedicated to making concepts in biology simple, easy to understand and interesting. So I'm back again after some time. I know many of you had your exams and now you're getting ready for the next session. And so today I'm going to be talking about a topic which is something which often students find it very difficult. Students often avoid biology because of the fear of not being able to memorize. So here I am coming up with techniques that will help you love the subject without having to memorize it. So we are going to look at various ways in which we can understand concepts in biology, we can remember terminologies, we can remember biological processes and so many other things in biology. Right, so it's a short session, so without any more delay, let me just straight dive into the topic. So we're going to look at the different techniques. So the first technique is mind mapping. Now let me first tell you what is mind mapping. A mind map is basically if you have a topic which has many things in it and you want to remember all the different points, so you can create a mind map which is a pictorial representation of the entire topic. Now how do you make it? You make the topic goes as a central theme. Say for example, in this picture there is health, which is the main topic. Then there are branches which come out of there which talk about the main headings. Within that you have sub branches which are the side headings. Now what you need to do is, when you're making mind maps, you should not be putting big paragraphs. You should have small words or phrases or key points that will help you to remember the topic, which will help you to recollect the topic, and it will be easy for you to remember the mind map which you have picturized, which you have created as a picture. And then use colors, use images, use your creativity. The way it helps you to remember and recollect. So here you can see there's health, which has different aspects to it: spiritual conditions, environment, physical state, genes, food, medicine. Within that there are subgroups. So this is how you create a mind map. Let's look at one mind map which is from a biology topic. That is the excretory products and their elimination. So in the center you have the kidneys and the excretory system diagram. From there are branches. There is concentration of urine. How does that happen? There is a diagram to it, and then there are few points. Then how does kidney, how is the function of kidney regulated? So there is a diagram, there are few points. How does urination, that is micturition, happen? There is a definition. What are the different modes of excretion? So you can see that there are different branches from where different topics within the excretory system and the excretory products and how they are eliminated is put together, and the entire mind map is created. So there are many more such mind maps which are there for different systems. Maybe if you connect with me separately, or if you are there in my WhatsApp group, then you can you can connect with me and ask for any of them, and I will be very happy to share with you. For paucity of time, we're just looking at examples now. We are not going into different mind maps. Let's look at the next thing, which is the mnemonics. Mnemonics, we're looking at two types of mnemonics. One is the acrostics and the other is the acronyms. Now what is an acrostic? What is an acronym? Acrostic basically is when you make a phrase or a verse or a line out of the first alphabets or the first words of the entire thing that you want to remember. Say for example, in biology we have the taxa. When you are studying taxonomy, you have to remember that an organism is classified with the taxa, right? So you have to remember it in the same order. So within the domain you have many kingdoms, within the kingdoms you have many phyla, within the phyla you have classes, within the classes you have order, within the order you have family, within the family you have genus, and then you have species. So you have to remember it in the same order. Now how do you remember the order in the first place? So we take the first alphabet of each of these and then we form a statement. So dear King Philip came over for good soup. So D is domain, king is kingdom, Philip, P is phylum, came is class, C is class, over is O, order, for. So you can see that the first alphabet is taken and you form a statement like dear King Philip came over for good soup. That helps you to remember the domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Another one, especially for the CBSE students, you have a chapter called Living Things. Within living things, you have the characteristics of living things. So if you want to remember those characteristics, you have an acronym. Now, acronym is basically a word that you form with the help of the first alphabets. So you have movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, nutrition. The first alphabets form Mrs. Gren. So if you remember that, you'll be able to recollect and you will know if you have missed out any of them. So many times what happens is during exams, we write a few and we miss out few of them. So if you remember this word, Mrs. Gren, then, and if you're not writing any one of them, then you know that you have missed out one. So it will help you to ensure that you have all the different attributes of the living things covered. Similarly, this one is just an example for you to understand. We all know rainbow, vibgyor, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. So while I'm talking about these different ways, if you guys have any doubts or any queries, just feel free to ask me in the chat box and I'll answer you then and there. Right? Okay. So let's proceed ahead. Now then we have flowcharts and tables. Now what are flowcharts? Where are we using them? So you can use flowcharts if you are describing types or if you're trying to remember types. For example, within nervous system you have two types, central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. So whenever you have types, you can make a flowchart and that will help you to remember. Now peripheral nervous system again has somatic nervous system, autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system again has sympathetic and parasympathetic. So when you have different types, you can make a flowchart. You can also make flowcharts when you are trying to recollect or remember processes. Now say for example the blood clotting process. So there are two different things that are happening together. They come and then they form the blood clot. So you can make two such flowcharts, bring them together and then the process happens. Or otherwise, if you have a very long paragraph which is going step by step, for example the process of digestion, it starts with mouth where there is an intake of food, then the food goes into buccal cavity, then it goes into esophagus, then it goes into stomach, and at every step what happens. So you can make a flow chart of all of these ones. So the entire big paragraph, comes in a flow and it becomes very easy for you to remember. So what happens after. And while you're studying, if you are able to visualize and if you're able to think, say for example in case of digestion, you may not be able to do that in all the topics, but at least the ones where it is possible, you can try visualizing simultaneously. For example, in digestion, the food goes into the mouth, then it is chewed inside the buccal cavity, then it goes into esophagus, it comes to stomach, it goes to the small intestine. So you can visualize the food actually moving through your digestive system. So that will also help you to remember very easily. So do we have any questions? Okay. So if not, let's proceed. Okay. Then let's see another flow, which is the flow of blood into heart. Here I have this a heart diagram with so many arrows of the blood going, coming here, there, and so on. And then you have the double circulatory system where the blood goes from the heart to the lungs, goes to the body, comes back to the heart, and so on. So if you want to remember the flow of the blood, then you can see here from lungs to body tissues, how does the blood flow, and from body tissues back to the lungs, how does it flow. Now you can get creative here. I have used one color to show lungs to body tissues and another color from body tissues to lungs. Also, you can combine more than one ways. Now, in here I have combined a flow chart, a flow, as well as a acronym. So here you can see from the lungs it goes to pulmonary veins, then to left atrium, then left ventricle and aorta. So it is VAVA. This will help you also to remember whether it starts with the vein or with the artery. Excuse me. Yeah. Similarly, from the body tissue to the lungs, here again it starts with the vein, goes to the artery. So it's VAVA this way also, and it is VAVA that way also, written as well. So that helps you to remember. Okay. Now the next one is tables. Where do we use tables? Generally, if you have contrasting information or differences, now you can see in the left side, I have a big paragraph on aerobic respiration. I have a paragraph on anaerobic respiration. This whole paragraph can be just summarized in the form of points in these tables, where the relevant points are placed one against the other. So this helps you to prepare for differences. It also helps you to remember the key points, and the entire paragraph is shortened into few major points. So when you are trying to recollect, it becomes easy, and also when you are trying to study for exams, it becomes very you can quickly cover up the entire portion by just looking and reading at the table. So it saves your time as well. Okay. You can also use table when you have multiple information of similar pattern. What does that mean? Now, in the digestive system, we have various enzymes. For all the enzymes, we know we have to read where are they produced, where are they released, what kind of pH level is required, what does the enzyme do, and so on. So we can actually form a table with the common thing as the headings, and then we can just, for every enzyme, salivary amylase, it's produced in salivary glands, pancreatic amylase in pancreas, maltase in small intestine. Where does it get released, whether it needs a neutral, basic or acidic, what kind of a pH level. So that way you can also get more creative, and you can remember more things by doing the segregation. In this table, I have segregated with the based on the actions that these enzymes are doing. So for the carbohydrate digestion, all the enzymes which are necessary for carbohydrate digestion, I have clubbed together. All the enzymes which goes into protein digestion, I have clubbed together, irrespective of where they are produced. You could also, depending on what you want to remember, you can also segregate them based on what are the where are they produced. So within the small intestine, all the enzymes which comes under small intestine can be grouped together. So you can do it based on what is your need, right? So that's about the tables. Now coming to charts. Now you can actually make charts wherever there are a lot of biochemical reactions, where there are formula, where there are biochemical reactions. You can actually form charts. So instead of remembering 10 different reactions, if you, for example, Krebs cycle, you can make it into a chart form. So you will have a pictorial representation, and it will be easy for you to remember. And besides that, you can also write the small points and so on. Like you can also have, for example, again, you can combine different ways, different methodologies. Here I have the flow chart, and at the same time, I can also go for having this, the acrostic here. So in Krebs cycle, it starts with the citrate, which becomes, there's a reaction for it to convert it to isocitrate, into ketoglutarate, into succinyl, succinate, fumarate, malate, oxaloacetate, and so on. So we can make it into one sentence. So we take the first alphabet, C, I, K, S, S, F, M, O. So can intelligent Karen solve some foreign mafia operations? So you've taken the first alphabets here, and then we are taking the making a sentence out of it. So here also we have clubbed two ways together to remember one difficult thing. So shall I proceed? Do you have any queries, questions? If you have questions, please feel free to ask. You can of course ask them later as well, but you can stop me wherever, if you have doubts. Yeah. So let's proceed. The next one is recite or teach. This is the most effective way. It's the mother of all ways, I would say. The best study technique. Whatever you have studied, go back and repeat it to somebody. When we were kids, we used to go back and our mothers used to ask us, tell me what did you study? And then we used to recollect and tell the whole thing to her. So the same way you can recite it to a person who can listen to you, maybe a friend or a teacher or your parent. So you get feedback about whether whatever you have learned is right or not. And then you can also teach. So especially this helps when you have colleagues. You can go and teach them, and if you do that, it will not only help you to recollect and remember, but you will also be building a lot of neural connections when you are doing it. And what happens is, when we want to teach something, we organize the whole topic, or we organize the material in our mind in a very methodological, in a very in a particular pattern, in a very methodical way. So that helps to form very clear, it makes the topic very clear in our own minds. So not only are you helping your friend, but in the meanwhile, while doing so, you are actually reorganizing the entire topic in a very structured manner into your mind. So that will help you to get a lot of mental clarity. It organizes the information, and it of course helps you and gives you an additional revision. So it's kind of a win-win for both, a little more win for you. Okay. Now, the next one, diagrams. Children often fear diagrams, and it's very difficult to remember diagrams, they say. So one thing I would say is, when you are trying to remember diagrams, and when you're trying to draw diagrams in exams, these are two different things. When you're trying to draw a diagram in exam, you can go for a very simplified diagram. Okay, and when you are actually trying to remember a diagram, then the technique is, take a big paper. At least an A4 is the minimum. You can go for A3 or A2 based on how big you can draw and how much content is there. Draw the diagram with your hand first, say on an A4 paper, and say if you're drawing the heart. Draw the diagram, let it be a white paper. Don't get creative about dark background, light font and so on. Have a light white background, draw the diagram, label them without overlapping. Okay, and once you are labeling them, write the functions or write the key points below the label itself. Say for example, here, left coronary artery, the few points next. ইন্টারনেট ডাউন হয়ে গেছে লাইট চলে যাওয়াতে।